Ever feel like jumping into AI requires like a whole team of specialists?
Yeah.
Well, get ready for your new secret weapon, AutoML. It's
Okay.
like having
Yeah.
your own personal AI engineer, building custom models, no coding nightmares.
Wow, that sounds pretty good.
And the best part, you don't need to be some kind of coding genius to use it.
That's really cool.
We're diving into some groundbreaking research today on something called AutoML Agent. And let me tell you, this stuff is next level.
It really is amazing how far this technology has come.
So imagine this,
Okay.
a system that takes your data, understands your goals, and handles absolutely everything
Everything.
from prepping the data
Right.
to actually deploying a model that's ready to use.
That's incredible. It sounds like it's doing all the heavy lifting for you.
Okay, so that all sounds amazing in theory,
Sure.
but how does it actually work in practice? Is it just like one giant AI trying to do it all at once?
Actually, that's what makes this research so fascinating. Instead of one massive system, they've gone with what they call a multi-agent approach. Think of it like a team of specialized AI agents, each with their own unique skills, working together to build the perfect model for you.
Oh, I love that. So instead of one AI trying to wear all the hats, you've got different agents that excel in specific areas.
Exactly. They've got a data expert that analyzes and preps your data, a model guru that's a master of algorithms, and even a deployment pro to make sure your model is ready for the real world.
Wait a minute. So it's like having a whole AI dream team, but it's building my AI.
Pretty much. And the really cool part is that this research paper shows it's not just a cool concept. This multi-agent approach, it's real, tangible results.
Okay, you got to give me the details. What kind of results are we talking about here?
They put this AutoML agent to the test on 7 different AI tasks, everything from image recognition to analyzing text. And you know what? It often blew manually designed systems out of the water, even ones built by seasoned human experts.
No way. So it's not just easier to use, it's actually better. There's got to be a catch.
Well, one thing that really stood out is how much computational effort goes into the planning stage, basically, figuring out the absolute best way to build a model for a specific task. Turns out, even for AI, that's still a really tough nut to crack.
That makes sense, though. I mean, even with automation, we can't expect AI to just magically know the best approach right off the bat.
You're right. And the really interesting part is how they tackled that challenge of planning. They use something called retrieval augmented planning to give the AI a serious boost.
Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me. Retrieval, augmented. What is it, like AI for searching Google, but on steroids?
It's kind of like that, but way cooler. Imagine giving the AI access to a treasure trove of knowledge research papers, code libraries, basically a history of AI's greatest successes and its biggest failures. This lets the AutoML system learn from the past and hopefully avoid repeating the same mistakes.
So it's constantly learning and improving based on this massive amount of information it has access to. So this retrieval thing, it's not just looking up answers, it's using that info to get smarter and make better decisions, right?
Exactly. It's all about making connections, using that vast knowledge base to come up with truly innovative solutions.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. This AutoML agent is starting to sound less like a single engineer and more like a whole self-improving AI research department at my fingertips.
And that's what makes it so powerful. It's not static. It evolves over time.
Hmm.
And in the world of AI, which changes faster than you can say algorithm, that adaptability is absolutely crucial.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how this system actually works in practice. You mentioned specialized agents earlier.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Let's break down how each of those specialized agents contributes to this amazing AI pipeline. First up, we've got the data expert.
The one who knows how to wrangle the data into shape, right? What does that actually look like in action?
Imagine you hand this system a brand new data set. The data expert steps in like a detective, analyzing it for patterns, sniffing out potential problems, and even suggesting ways to make that data even better for training a model.
Wait, hold on. So it can spot problems I might miss? Because, to be honest, I know I've messed up data prep before, and it definitely messed up my results.
It happens to the best of us, believe me. And that's where this data expert really shines. It can pick up on things that even seasoned data scientists might overlook. It's all about taking that deep data understanding and automating it.
Okay, I'm sold. But once the data is prepped and ready to go, what happens next? This is the part where I usually get lost in all the technical details.
Don't worry, that's where the model guru takes over.
The one with all the algorithms up its sleeve,
You
right?
got it. Based on what it's learned about your data and what you're trying to achieve, this agent sifts through a massive library of AI algorithms. We're talking neural networks, tree-based models, the whole shebang, and it picks the one that's absolutely perfect for the task at hand.
So it's like having a personal AI matchmaker, pairing my data with the best algorithm for the job.
Exactly. But it gets even cooler. The model guru doesn't just pick a model and call it a day, it fine-tunes it for peak performance.
Fine-tuning, is that
Yeah.
like adjusting the settings until it's just right?
You got it. There are all these parameters that control how the model learns from the data. Tweaking those is absolutely crucial for getting good accuracy and efficiency, but it can be a real headache.
This is the part I always hated. Tweaking all those parameters felt like trying to tune a radio with 1,000 knobs.
Laughs. I think you just described every data scientist's pain. But that's the beauty of AutoML. You're handing those 1,000 knobs over to the AI. It can explore different combinations way faster and more efficiently than any human ever could.
So this model guru is saving me time, headaches, and probably getting better results in the process. Win-win.
And we haven't even gotten to the best part. Even with a perfectly tuned model, you still need to figure out how to actually use it.
You're telling me. That's always been the biggest hurdle for me, getting it out of the experimental phase and into the real world.
And that, my friend, is where the third musketeer comes in the deployment pro.
Okay, this is the part I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
What can this agent do?
Think of it as your AI operations manager. This agent takes care of all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Okay.
It helps you package your model in a way that can be easily deployed on a server, a website, or even your phone.
So it handles all those technical details that always trip me up. That's a game changer.
It really is. In their testing, they even had it create simple web demos so you could instantly see your model in action. No complicated setup required.
Okay, let me get this straight. I feed my data to this AutoML agent. It analyzes it, picks the best AI approach for my needs, fine-tunes everything, and then packages it up so I can actually use it.
You got it. And the best part is that it requires minimal input or coding knowledge from you. That's the true beauty of AutoML making AI accessible to a much wider audience.
This is incredible. It feels like we're on the verge of AI becoming accessible to absolutely everyone. I mean, this is seriously impressive stuff. It almost sounds too good to be true. Are there any downsides to this kind of automation?
Well, there are always trade-offs to consider. One challenge with AutoML is that it can feel like a bit of a black box.
A black box. What do you mean by that?
It can be tricky to fully grasp how the AI arrived at a particular solution, even if it works perfectly. The automation process gets really complex with all those algorithms working behind the scenes.
So you might get great results, but you might not fully understand why the AI made those specific choices.
That's the potential trade-off, yeah. And in some fields, that lack of transparency could be a real concern.
That makes sense. So even though AutoML has the potential to make AI more accessible, there are still some nuances to work through.
Absolutely. No technology is a magic bullet. But this research is a huge step forward, and it's exciting to see how it'll shape the field.
Okay, so we've talked about the big picture of AutoML, these incredible AI agents, but I'm curious about the nitty-gritty. What are some of the finer details the researchers uncovered?
One thing that stood out was this concept of multi-stage verification. They've essentially built in a system of checks and balances throughout the process.
Ooh, I love a good quality control process.
Yeah.
Tell me more about how this verification works.
It's broken down into three main stages.
Huh.
First, you've got request verification, and this happens right at the beginning.
So before the AI even starts building the model.
Exactly. It's all about making sure the AI understands what you're asking for. Remember, the goal is to make AI accessible even if you don't speak algorithm. So there's a chance your initial instructions might be a little vague or incomplete.
Like maybe I don't know the right technical terms or how to phrase my goal in a way the AI will understand.
Precisely. This stage is like having a super smart assistant that asks clarifying questions, making sure the AI is crystal clear on what you want to achieve.
Okay, so it's like making sure the AI gets all the details right before it starts cooking up a solution.
Exactly. It sets the stage for success from the very beginning. Once the AI is confident about the goal, it moves on to the next stage, execution verification.
And this happens while the model is being built, right?
You got it. As each agent does its thing, this stage is all about constantly checking if the proposed solutions are actually lining up with your original instructions.
So it's like having a project manager looking over the AI's shoulder, making sure it's sticking to the plan.
That's a great way to put it. This execution verification step is crucial because it catches any potential hiccups or deviations early on.
It's definitely better to make adjustments along the way than to realize at the very end that the AI went off on a tangent.
Exactly. And then finally, once the model is built and fine-tuned, we get to the third stage, implementation verification.
The final check before it's ready to go live.
We got it. This stage is all about making sure that the code the AI wrote actually does what it's supposed to do.
Wait a minute, the AI writes the code too. I thought it just picked algorithms and adjusted settings.
That's the beauty of it. This AutoML system is designed to handle the entire process, from start to finish, including generating the actual code for your model.
That's wild. But I can see why a final verification would be important. You want to make sure the code is clean, efficient, and doesn't have any hidden gremlins.
Absolutely. Think of this stage like having a senior developer double-check the code before it's launched into the world.
Okay, so with this three-step verification process, you've got checks and balances all along the way, making sure the AI builds the right thing in the right way. But what happens if the AI hits a snag? What if something goes wrong?
That's where the really impressive part comes in plan revision. Remember how we talked about the AI having access to external knowledge?
Right, the whole retrieval augmented planning thing.
Exactly. If one of the verification steps throws up a red flag, the AI doesn't just give up. It taps into that external knowledge base, learns from the mistake, and revises its plan to try a new approach.
So it's like it has the ability to troubleshoot and problem solve on its own.
Exactly. It's constantly learning and adapting, which is absolutely crucial in a field that's always evolving.
This is seriously impressive stuff. It sounds like this AI is practically thinking for itself. But at the end of the day, how well does it actually work? What were the results of these experiments?
Well, they tested AutoML agent on a pretty diverse set of tasks to see how well it could handle different challenges. They actually used 7 different AI tasks across a variety of data sets.
7 tasks. That's a pretty good range. What kind of tasks were they?
They threw everything at it. Image classification, like trying to identify different types of butterflies from pictures, text classification for things like sorting through online product reviews, and even tabular data analysis, where it had to do things like, say, predict crop prices based on different factors.
Wow, that's a pretty broad spectrum.
Yeah.
So, with all that, did AutoML Agent live up to the hype? How did it stack up against the competition?
It actually exceeded expectations. They compared it to both manually designed models created by human experts and other cutting-edge AutoML systems.
So it went head-to-head with the best of the best.
Exactly. And the results were extremely impressive. In many of the tests, AutoML agent came out on top.
No way. Are you serious?
I'm telling you, this thing is the real deal. In some of the image classification tasks, it actually achieved better accuracy than the models designed by human experts.
So it's not just about making AI easier to use, it's about achieving better results too. That's amazing.
It really is a game changer, but it's important to remember that this is still early days for AutoML. There's a lot more to explore and improve upon.
That's true, but the potential is incredible. Imagine a world where anyone, regardless of their tech skills, could build powerful AI models that rival those made by seasoned experts. That's a pretty amazing thought.
It really is. And, you know, the researchers found another huge benefit of this system, efficiency.
Efficiency. In
Yeah.
what way?
AutoML agent consistently built models faster and using fewer resources, which is a really big deal. One of the biggest hurdles for AI adoption has always been the cost and time involved.
That's true. Training a complex AI can take days, even weeks sometimes. Not to mention the computing power it requires. It can get pretty expensive.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about AutoML. It has the potential to drastically reduce those costs and make AI development much more accessible.
So it's faster, cheaper, and in many cases, even more accurate. It sounds almost too good to be true. Are you sure there are no downsides? Okay, yeah, you're right. No magic bullet. But this AutoML stuff does sound incredibly promising. Faster, cheaper, and sometimes even more accurate. What's not to love?
You're right, the potential benefits are huge, but there are always, trade-offs. And one thing the researchers didn't focus on as much, but that I think is really worth thinking about is, well, the potential impact of making AI this easy to use.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Hmm.
On the one hand, more people get to use these powerful AI tools. But then on the other hand,
Exactly. On the other hand, we have to really think about the consequences, and I mean both the positive and the negative.
can you give me an example? What kind of consequences are we talking about here?
Well, just imagine a world where building a custom AI is as easy as, say, using a smartphone app. Suddenly, it's not just big tech companies with tons of resources or, those hardcore tech whizzes who have access to this technology. We're talking small businesses, artists, even students,
Right.
all potentially able to harness the power of AI to do some incredible things.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah.
Everyone having the ability to use these powerful AI tools.
Exactly. And that's a future worth striving for. But we also have to acknowledge that there's a flip side. There are potential downsides.
Like what? What kind of things do we need to be aware of?
One of the big ones is control and access. If AI becomes that easy to use, how do we make absolutely sure it's used responsibly? How do we prevent it from being used for, harmful purposes?
Yeah, those are some big questions. And I'm not sure there are any easy answers, really. It almost feels like we're trying to predict the future here.
In a way, we are. And that's precisely why it's so important to have these conversations now while the technology is still in its early stages and evolving rapidly. We have a real opportunity to shape the future of AI, to make sure it's a future that benefits everyone.
I totally agree. So, as someone who's, just starting to learn about AI, what's one thing I can do right now to be a responsible user of these tools?
That's a great question. I think the most important thing is to just stay informed and stay engaged. Keep learning about the capabilities and the limitations of AI, and be aware of the potential impact it can have. Don't be afraid to ask tough questions, challenge assumptions, and, just think critically about the ways AI is being used.
I love that. Knowledge is power, as they say.
You got it. The more you understand about AI, the better equipped you'll be to use it responsibly and ethically.
This has been an amazing conversation. I feel like I've gone from feeling, honestly, a bit intimidated by AI to feeling cautiously optimistic, but definitely still aware of the challenges.
That's the perfect mindset to have because AI is a powerful tool. Like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. It's really up to all of us to make sure it's used for the right reasons.
This deep dive into AutoML has been incredible. Thank you so much for walking us through all of this. It's been a really eye-opening conversation.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, the world of AI is constantly changing. The best way to stay ahead of the curve is to just stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop learning.
And for our listeners who want to learn more about AutoML and the amazing research we talked about today, you can find links to the paper and other helpful resources in the show notes for this episode.
Don't be afraid to dive in and get your hands dirty. You never know, you might just be the one to come up with the next big AI breakthrough.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the exciting world of AI. We'll get you next time for another Deep Dive.